And the streamy goes to Bleach. The series Bleach is a fan favorite across the globe, dubbed one of the big three. It solidified its spot as one of the GOATs, but it's because of this unmatched reputation across the anime world that Bleach's fanbase has become unquestionable. You'll never win any debate against any Bleach fan, because they have something that no other fanbase has. Well, maybe not no other fanbase. Every single fan is blind. Remember back to when you first watched your favorite anime. That was both the greatest and the worst moment of your entire life. It was the greatest because it was pure euphoria, experiencing greatness for the first time, something that you can never experience ever again. But it's also the worst moment, since you will never again experience that moment in real time. You will never be able to go through those emotions ever again. When rewatching the show, you'll only be able to feel the nostalgia of what you once felt when experiencing this emotion. Well, my first time watching Bleach was somewhere in the middle. It all began in the Agent of Shinigami arc, also known as the Substitute Soul Reaper arc. Episodes 1 through 20. This arc, compared to every other arc in the series, is an entirely different show. I honestly have no need of covering this arc because it's so detached from what Bleach is, it could be called an entirely different anime. Bleach, a story of friendship. Nigga, that's not even far from what the show is. Bleach, finding true love. This arc has nothing to do with love. Bleach, understanding ourselves. That one isn't that far off. This arc explains a few basic things: what Soul Reapers are, what Quincy's are, and the most important item that was debuted during this arc and honestly the entire series, the Gigangon. Obviously, I was being sarcastic, but let's be honest, they made this item seem like it was going to be the most important item in all of Bleach, and his career died in the first arc. Seriously, I don't even remember the last time they used an artificial soul, and I don't care either. Because why did they make it seem so important? They made it seem like it was going to be a utility that was just as important as Soul Reaper's Zanpakuto. Little side tangent. We meet actual important people, like Ryu Ishida, Yatsuro Sato, aka Chad, and Orihime. With Ishida being a Quincy and Ichigo a substitute Shinigami, Chad and Inoue were left powerless. So, to keep from leaving them behind in the world of the living, Tite Kubo, the creator of Bleach, gave them powers so that they wouldn't get immediately maxed by every opponent they came across. Yes, the Mickiest of character level ups, not gonna lie, but it was necessary to progress the story, so I'm not too mad at it. And then the anime Bleach, no, like the actual anime, not whatever shit we've been watching so far. The actual show begins. Rukia is deemed a criminal by the Soul Society for staying in the world of living for too long without permission. So, two people are sent from the Soul Society to retrieve her. Renji Abarai, Rukia's longtime friend, and Byakuya Kuchiki, Rukia's older brother. Well, actually, she's his stepsister. Basically, Rukia is about to be taken back to the Soul Society. And take a guess on who shows up to stop them. That's right, Ryu Ishida. Well, not exactly. He was actually only on his way home from the corner store. Just a coincidence for him to be there. And, well, he gets maxed too. But guess who's there to stop them this time? You never would have guessed. Ichigo Kurosaki. And so he's faced up against Renji Abarai. In the beginning, he's struggling. I mean, why wouldn't he? We later learned that Renji's a vice captain, so the power scaling makes sense, especially after only being a substitute Soul Reaper for 2 months, according to the Bleach Wiki. So there's no reason he should win, right? No. We're wrong, because Ichigo ends up almost beating Renji. If it wasn't for Byakuya stepping in and finishing off Ichigo, he would have beaten Renji. Now, let's analyze the situation. At this moment in time during the show, we have zero context on what a captain and vice captain strengths are. So at this point, you could say, wow, Ichigo's really strong. He took on a vice captain, and it wouldn't be questioned at all. It actually would make sense. But as an experienced Bleach watcher, I can tell you that this is Bleach cap. But Professor Pop, what's a Bleach cap? Well, let me explain. This is one of the 3 instances I'll bring up this video about Bleach cap. Bleach cap, a phrase that was invented, established, and publicized by me, is a phrase that I love to use whenever I see anything in an anime that shouldn't have happened. While it's not genre specific to only shonen shows, I still find myself using it at least 95% of the time when watching shonen. Allow me to use it in a sentence for those of you who are slightly confused. Usopp beat Luffy? Man, that's straight Bleach cap. Be sure not to confuse Bleach cap with the other phrase plot armor. The two are entirely different things. One advances the story, while the other is complete bullshit. Well, why not just say cap? why does it have to be Bleach Cap? Great question, my student. Cap can be used whenever you see something that doesn't make sense in the present moment. The term Bleach Cap has to develop into its cap. When the Bleach Cap happens, it doesn't make sense to you how cap it is until later in the story. It's like a progressive cap, one that which has to foster into bigger and bigger cap the further the story progresses. You'll understand after the next 2 instances of Bleach Cap. Lesson's over. So, I hope you have a deeper understanding of what Bleach Cap is. Let us get into the second instance of Bleach Cap. Ichigo and his friends have made it into the Soul Society to rescue Rukia from execution. After a few battles here and there, Ichigo runs into his next battle, which is the next pillar of Bleach Cap in this video. Ichigo versus Kenpachi Zaraki. Now, this fight might be the most prominent moment of Bleach Cap, because this is where it starts to seep into you, the viewer, how absurd some of these victories really are. Kenpachi Zaraki is known as the strongest, once again, the strongest captain in the 13 court guards due to his flawless record. And so, Ichigo comes across Zaraki and they start fighting. Basically, things are looking horrible for Ichigo. So bad that the most common trope in shonen anime had to come out. Ichigo had basically been killed. There's literally no way for Ichigo to come back from this. But in the most simple way to say this without A, spoiling, and B, turning this into the most complex video breaking down the natures of Ichigo's Zanpakuto and why he was able to rise back from the dead isn't really my intention. Basically, it was plot. With the power of plot, Ichigo comes back with powers way stronger than before, and at this point, Zaraki decides that it's time. He's evaluated that Ichigo is strong enough to the point where he no longer needs to restrain his spiritual pressure, and so he pulls a Rock Lee. He takes off his eye patch, which basically eats spiritual energy away when using his full powers. The fights are over too quick, and he's unable to enjoy the fight when the eye patch is off. Basically, he's strong as shit right now. So strong that he shows off by cutting a block. Not any block though. This block is basically the height and width of a fucking skyscraper. And he just casually cuts it. No biggie. And so there's one final dual style cross of blades. And guess who wins? Ichigo. Now at this point, you should already have seen it coming. This might be the highest tier of Bleach Cap in the show. Because once again, right now we only have the smallest idea of what a captain really is. We know they're strong. We know they're at the top of the Soul Society. But we still have no villains or anybody else to compare them to. That's interesting. He just beat the strongest captain. That's kind of weird, is what most are thinking after this fight, because not only did he match Renji, who is a vice captain, but he's also now beaten a captain, and not only a captain, but the strongest one at that. How did he progress in such little time? Wow, this story is progressing really quick. I mean, it must be ending soon because what other level can Ichigo reach? Wrong. This is Bleach Cap in full effect. After this fight, you're able to look back on his fight against Renji, and it seems a little bit more absurd on how he was able to beat him. The difference between Renji versus Ichigo and Byakuya versus Ichigo are almost immeasurable. Byakuya used a simple flash step and took out Ichigo in one go, while Ichigo and Renji were almost even. So fair to say, the gap between a vice captain's powers and a captain's powers are insane. And yet, Ichigo clears that gap in almost no time. The last installment of Bleach Cap that I'll be covering today skips ahead arc in the Hueco Mundo. Now, before we get to it, let's do a short recap on our first 2 moments of Bleach Cap. First, Ichigo matched the strength of a vice captain with only about 2 months of experience as a Soul Reaper. Second, Ichigo beats the strongest captain in the Gotei 13, Kenpachi Zaraki. Now, let's be for real. I've seen worse in other animes. On the scale of bad power scaling, this isn't too crazy. But like I said in the beginning of the video, any strong-willed Bleach fan could argue against any of these points and make it seem like it isn't too crazy. But I also have brought up that you can only realize Bleach Cap once you progress in the story. Grimmjow vs Ichigo ends in Grimmjow's defeat, and while Ichigo is victorious, Noicha shows up. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but you know, let's hope. The 5th ranked Espada. Fair to say, the odds are stacked against Ichigo. So stacked against him that Noicha sends his lackey to attack him, and he's maxing him. Now, obviously, Ichigo is worn out from his previous fight, but even at top performance, there's no future I could envision where Ichigo was able to match Noicha's strength. And in luck, or probably more specifically plot, Zaraki arrives. Now, let's not forget that about 3 months ago, he had lost to Ichigo, and Ichigo has only gotten stronger since then. And so the fight progresses. Zaraki versus Noicha. And Zaraki is just a little bit weaker than Noicha. I mean, Zaraki even admits that if it kept going the way it was going, that he might die. So guess how he fixes this? Instead of using one hand, he uses 2. Kendo is what it's called. He beats Noicha in 1 blow. Now, somebody, please explain to me how Zaraki, who had been beaten by an inexperienced Ichigo, somehow managed to beat Noicha. That was a trick question. We already know the answer. Bleach Cap. Let's be for real. While we all know that Bleach Cap exists, That doesn't take away from the fact that Bleach is an amazing show. I'm an avid advocate for Bleach, and I think everyone should really watch it because the show really is that good. While I might have been shitting on Bleach for the past 18 minutes of recording, don't let it deter you. Yes, Bleach fans are blind, but as long as they're able to accept it, the community can become that much more polished. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, even amidst the current drought of pop talk videos appearing on your timeline. Listen, things are hectic over here. If you hadn't seen my community posts, I just moved into college and haven't really found that much time to write scripts for videos. But you had time to play Valorant? Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content like this video. Comment down below with the most Bleach Catmon you've seen in any anime. And with that, peace y'all.